All right, so as you guys know, I've been trying to learn flute repair forever and have not been successful learning on my own. Well, the Flutistry is here in Tampa, and they're holding a repair class. Not like pads and stuff, but just learning the COA, the clean, oil, and adjustment. So I'm about to walk over there. We have to work on our own flutes, so I'm actually going to work on my flute I use for Musician's Edition. A little nerve-wracking because this is my good flute at the moment. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on what we work on today. It's like a 4-5 day intense class all day. So wish me luck. All right, so we had day one. It was kind of like a half day, which is still fine. It was very overwhelming still. We learned so much. It started with learning all the technical names of the keys and even further into parts of the flute, because it does go beyond head joint, body, foot joint, keys, and rods. It goes into a lot further than that. There's steels, ribs, posts, so on and so forth. So that's about where we got today, was just learning the names of everything. We haven't taken our flutes apart yet, though I'm kind of starting to think probably shouldn't have brought my primary flute. What was I thinking? I should have brought my first flute in. It needs a little work. This one just needs its COA, which is what the class is kind of going over. But if, I'm just remembering when I tried repairing that flute and how it came out worse, but I also was trying to do an overhaul, and we're not doing that. But anywho, it was a good day, so I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. I can't legally show anything during the class, but I could just kind of report the things we've learned. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, so today we completed day 2, and it was an interesting day to say the least. So the first thing we did was learn how to change the head cork in the flute, which is something I didn't even attempt to do when I was trying to repair things on my own. I was so clueless on head joint and didn't want to mess with it. It's actually really not as hard as you would think, though I did endure a little bit of an injury. So they have these sticks, and you kind of just push down on the opposite end to push the head cork out. And you're supposed to push just kind of lightly and feel it give. Well, I was giving it my all right off the bat, so when it gave, I was still pushing down with all my might, and I ended up scraping the crud out of my hand. I mean, it's fine, I'm okay, it's not a big deal, I just thought it was funny. And then we disassembled the flute, which I didn't really have a problem with since I did it before, except now I learned how to do it a little more carefully with some proper tools. I didn't have that when I was trying to repair things on my own. I was careful of springs the first time I tried taking them, but they actually have the spring hook, which helped unhook the springs, and pliers to help pull rods out and steels. It was so much easier using the proper tools, so we got the flute disassembled and a new head cork in. So tomorrow, I believe we're talking about pads and stuff, though we're not, as far as I know, we're not doing repads. As much as I want to learn how to do repads, it might be a little overwhelming between everything else. But, yeah, so we got one thing done. Head cork successfully changed in the flute. All right, it's been day 3, and we did talk a little bit about padding stuff, but not too much. Things we did work on, though, was we cleaned the flute out I mean like fully giving it a bath. So we were taking away some of the tarnishing, which is great. I did do that when I was trying to learn to repair on my own, except theirs came out a little better. I didn't use as much, I'm just going to say solution. Didn't use as much solution as they did. So, I just, no need to be shy. And then the next thing we worked on is continuing cleaning. So we cleaned the posts. I'm trying to remember my technical terms. It's been a lot. The posts, that's where like the rods and the steels all going. We cleaned those out, so that's nice and clean. And then we like cleaned the top part of the keys, because those can get kind of dirty. That's where our fingers go all the time. So we cleaned the top part of that. And with that, we also started reassembling things. But with that, we also learned how to oil, because metal on metal is really bad. So we also made sure that we oiled things up and got them moving. And we started putting the flute together, which made me kind of nervous because, I mean, I knew how to put it back together in like the right kind of, I don't want to say the right kind of order, but where they belong. But there is a certain order to putting them back in, which I didn't know the first time I was doing things. I kind of was like, oh, I think it's this, just trying to remember to make sure that the keys go in the right spots versus the order of putting things in. But I got it. She's clean and she's oiled up. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about, adjustments. So though we're not replacing any pads, there are some form of adjustments that need to be made, because over time our pads might shift a little and may not seal as nicely on the tone holes. So we need to learn how to level that out so we can get the most of it out of our sound and the most out of our instrument in general. So that's what we're working on tomorrow. I'm a little nervous about that. Particularly, my flute was in really good working condition. So hopefully I get it back. The goal was for the same, if not better. So we shall see. Stay tuned. Today was day 4. It was the last day. Very intense class indeed. So today we worked on adjustments, which was pretty nerve-wracking. We used a thing called a feeler to see if we could feel where any potential leaks are. And man, that itself felt like a mind game. Like, is it coming out? Is it not? Is it sealing? Is it not? I don't know. And then we used the light strip to kind of see if we can see where it was sealing, where it wasn't. And then we used some tools to like balance the pad back into place. And then we play tested our flutes. And keep in mind, the play test is not the way we think it is either. It's very, I don't want to say strategic, but I guess it's kind of strategic. We play it a little differently so we can really hear and feel to see if there are any forms of leaks and to make sure that everything is working together. So we did the play test and everything checked out great. There were some spots I was a little nervous on the low end, but I think that was just me being scared. I don't know, it played fine. And then we took lunch. And then, just for like a final troubleshoot testing, the guy who was teaching the class was going through our flutes while we were eating lunch, and he was undoing something of our works, and we had to like troubleshoot, figure out what it is, and then fix it. So was a little nerve-wracking. And it was even more nerve-wracking as we're coming in. He goes, oh yeah, Reese's is going to be the hardest to find. Oh, great. Terrific. So I was in there like play testing, and I'm like, okay, I think it's the F. It's gotta be the F, because everything was like playing just fine. So I go back in and I set my foot joint and the head joint down on the peg posts, and I have the body here and I'm looking at it, and he goes, oh no, you're very cold. So I'm like, oh gosh. So I get the foot joint, and he's like, that's better. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm all, I don't know. Like, all the springs are in place. It's like everything was coming down. And he goes, oh, Risa, he's like, yours actually isn't a problem right now, but it will become a problem later. Oh, okay. It was a little rough. And it was the roller on the foot joint. You know how you have the roller? He had unscrewed it a little bit. So if it wasn't to be addressed, sure, it's fine for today and tomorrow and maybe for a month or whatever, but eventually that roller is going to fully unscrew, and then yes, you are going to have a problem. Everyone else's was kind of like a spring has sprung, or they had a screw that was also coming out towards like the ends, things like that. Oh, another thing we had to do was like, there's these things on the back of some of the keys, they're called kickers. And you have to make sure those are like, so like if you have a key that's sitting up like this and they go down, it's just enough to make a difference. So you'd have to put like felt or paper or cork or something in between to bring that key back up. We had to do that too. That was actually pretty challenging. Anywho, enough of me talking. It was very exciting and passionate. I got my flute here, and I just wanted to play it for you so you can see that we got it back together. Right, it's back together and in working condition, and I would say that it's a little more responsive than what it was. I know you're supposed to do a COA every year, but I don't, because, not because I'm, well, I guess maybe because I'm a little irresponsible. Let's be honest, it's a money thing. I don't like spending money on things like that. I always just wait until I have to take it in. Not the way to do it. But hey, now I know how to kind of do it myself. So anywho. So as you can see, the flute is back up and working. I did it! And now, I have to get myself some practice flutes. So I'm off to eBay. We'll see you later.